Have you ever seen someone hold a jar in one hand and completely change a room full of people without saying a single word? It happened one afternoon in a quiet classroom. The students were restless, checking their watches, waiting for the final bell. Then the old professor walked in, calm and slow, carrying nothing but a large empty glass jar and a box filled with rocks, pebbles, sand, and a bottle of water. Without saying a word, he placed the jar on the table and began. He gently placed the large rocks into the jar, one by one, until no more could fit. He looked up and asked, "Is the jar full?" The students nodded. "Yes," they said. He smiled quietly, then took a handful of small pebbles and dropped them in. They rolled into the gaps between the big rocks. Again he asked, "Is it full?" A few students laughed and said, "Yes, now it's definitely full." But the professor wasn't done. He reached for a bag of fine sand and slowly poured it in. The grains slipped into every tiny space left in the jar. "Full now?" he asked once more. The room responded with laughter and agreement. Finally, the professor opened a bottle of water and poured it into the jar. It trickled through the sand, between the pebbles and rocks, until the jar overflowed just a little. The students were now quiet, curious. The professor looked up. "This jar is your life," he said softly. "The big rocks are your family, your health, your purpose, the things that truly matter. If everything else was gone and only these remained, your life would still be full. The pebbles are your job, your house, your hobbies, important but not as vital. The sand is the little stuff, social media, arguments, distractions. If you fill the jar with sand first, there won't be space for the rocks." "And the water?" asked one student. The professor smiled again. "There's always room for kindness." The classroom fell silent, not because they were confused, but because they understood. Deep down, each of them saw their own jar, filled mostly with sand, slightly heavy. How many of us are doing the same? We rush, we scroll, we argue. We chase things that don't matter and forget the people who do. We say we don't have time, but maybe, just maybe, it's not about time. It's about what we're filling our jar with. So today ask yourself, what are your rocks? Because if you don't put them in first, you might never fit them in at all.